It's a rare thing to experience a game that truly moves you, but that's exactly what you'll find in Until Then. This visual novel set in the Philippines sees you step into the shoes of Mark, a teenager trying to make his way through life, while experiencing some weird glitch in the matrix type moments. In this video, we'll be giving a full review of the game and ranking it from decaf to fully caffeinated. This is something we do regularly here at the Indie Brew, so make sure to subscribe to the channel for more indie game content. Without further ado, let's grind this game down and see how it brews. Until Then has a story that is truly captivating. The story takes place in a more well-off area in the Philippines, a few months after a series of natural disasters devastated parts of the country. Now, we won't go into depth into what happens because spoilers, but I can say that this story is one that hits some really great notes. There's an underlying mystery vibe to the game which draws you in to find out what happens, but alongside this world-altering mystery, you'll also have a whole range of normal and even mundane scenes. The game kind of feels like a TV series with a range of different characters, and you get to see Mark's interactions with each of them and learn more about each person's story. You definitely get a big dose of reality as you watch Mark struggle with balancing different relationships, managing life on his own, and pursuing his dreams. Now, this is definitely a slower paced story that takes a while to hook you in. It wasn't until the third chapter that you really start to get sucked into what's happening. So it's definitely one worth sticking with through the slower first chapters. There's no actual voiced dialogue in the game either, so the story is told through dialogue, text messages, social media statuses, and lots of longing looks. There is a few different endings to the game, so it really does feel like a unique experience that could definitely be replayed to uncover the different potential storylines. While slow to start, the story absolutely hooked me in, and I found myself hanging to keep playing the game. So for story, I'm rating Until Then as fully caffeinated. Now, I will preface this section by saying that I'm not personally a big fan of visual novels, mostly because of their slower pace, and Until Then still fell into that category for me. The gameplay mostly takes the form of walking from location to location, pressing a button to continue dialogue, and interacting with the social media. In addition to this, you have some mini games in different sections that require you to push different buttons or aim somewhere, but most of your time in the game is really spent reading. The game pace is agonizingly slow, to the point where at times it actually feels frustrating to play. The only saving grace was the interesting storyline. Otherwise, this would have been a game I could have easily put down after half an hour. That being said, as you progress, you definitely find an appreciation for the pacing. While it does feel like there's a lot of unnecessary traveling between scenes or random dialogue, the further into the game you get, the more you appreciate it and come to really take in all of the details of each scene. In terms of actual mechanics, I did find it taxing to have to continuously press a button to continue on with the dialogue, and would have found it a bit more enjoyable if it auto-progressed. I also think this would have helped to immerse you more in the game itself, as often remembering to press the button to keep the story going made you feel more removed from the story. Overall, the gameplay definitely grows on you. I would have liked to see more options to potentially speed up the gameplay, and possibly even an option for a shorter experience for those who want to play the game but don't necessarily have 8 to 10 hours to spend playing. For gameplay, I'm rating Until Then as bust. The story might be the star of this game, but the design is what lets it truly shine. The overall visual aesthetic is a pixel art, almost anime comic style that somehow conveys so much in just a few frames. The game is just nice to look at, and it definitely builds an intriguing and all-encompassing world. The use of different framing in different scenes, combined with some amazing lighting, really made you feel like you were watching a movie rather than playing a game. The soundtrack of the game is absolutely beautiful. I really loved the mixture of classical music and realistic soundscapes, and felt like it really made certain moments a lot more powerful because it was paired with a great piece of music or a harsh soundscape. If I had one critique, it would be that the bouncing of the characters was a bit much, and I found it a little bit distracting. You do get used to it as you play, but it was quite jarring at first. Overall, this is a game that is absolutely breathtaking in terms of design. So for design, I'm rating Until Then as fully caffeinated. Now, I certainly haven't played every game there ever was, but I can confidently say I've never played a game even close to this before. The unique art style that is expertly done, combined with a really moving soundtrack, immerses you in a game in a way that I've not often felt before. The story feels unique and really hits on how mundane life can be, whilst drawing you into a more supernatural style mystery. It almost could be described not as simply a game, but but a whole immersive experience in a way that I've not really been exposed to before. So for Originality, I'm rating Until Then as fully caffeinated. Until Then is a game that is unlike anything I've played before. It combines an emotional narrative with a beautiful soundtrack to draw you into a full immersive game experience. While definitely a game with a slower pace and more passive gameplay elements, it doesn't make the game any less impactful. We've ground the beans, we've carefully weighed and pressed the grinds and brewed this game down. Now, it's time for a taste test. Until Then is fully caffeinated. Until Then is available on Steam now for Windows, Mac, and Linux, as well as available on PlayStation 5. You can find the link in the description below, and that's where we're going to wrap up this review video. If you're looking for more indie game recommendations, click here. And until next time, stay caffeinated.